Welcome to War of the Mind podcast with Lauren Johnson, your weekly dose of real-life experience for you, by you, giving listeners the chance to share their story while helping others and giving us all the opportunity to listen or be silent no more. Paving the way for War of the Mind to share these life stories of struggles to triumphs, failures to promise. Here, we are all one, and as one, we can overcome life's journey towards finding our purpose.
And welcome back. I'm your host, Lauren Johnson, here on War of the Mind. And today we're going to cover self-care, the importance of journaling, and also a little on coping skills that can help you with your self-care. And then we might if we have time, we'll dive into something that relates to self-care, which would be self-love. So those are three topics we'll cover today. So as we dive into self-care, self-care is, very important. It's oftentimes self-care is easier said than done. But, nevertheless, it's important to give yourself the ability to reflect. So that's where the journaling comes in that we'll go into later. As a preventative measure, self-care helps you to consider and implement strategies prior to being faced with challenges. And then this is where coping skills can come into play. So that's why we kind of tied all these three topics together. As a coping skill, self-care helps you to recognize when new need calls for your attention. An ongoing process, self-care can help you to develop resilience to overcome adversity, like we have talked about before, and a compassion for yourself and your overall journey of self-love. So, if you didn't catch that, that's where the self-care, under self-care, you usually have different topics, not topics, but different areas that fall under your self-love, and self-awareness falls under that, along with self-exploration. So that can be self-discovery, which we'll cover probably next episode. Self-care, that's what I was going into, where, a lot of times you want to have the coping skills so that you can take care of yourself when a problem arises, whether that be with addiction, it can be with, a dispute in your family, it can be a dispute in your relationship with your spouse. So those are, a lot of it has to do with your self-wellness. And then we also have self-esteem, which these all tie together. Self-esteem kind of coincides with self-confidence. That's another topic we can cover another day. But, self-care is a continuous process of proactively considering or tending to your needs and maintaining your wellness. As a preventative measure, self-care helps you to consider and implement strategies prior to being faced with challenges. So, which fits into the show of overcoming adversity and as an ongoing process. Self-care can help you develop your resilience. Self-care can also be tricky, though. It's easy to forget and take care of yourself because many of us, put our friends or family first before our needs, and that can be a huge problem because I know from my self-experience, I tend to put other people first and forget about my needs. And then while I'm doing my best to take care of anybody else, I'm actually feel like I'm dying inside. And, people don't see that when you're sitting there helping other people, and they're like, oh, he must be fine because he's helping, everybody else. When actually it can be a very dangerous spot to be in, particularly before, for loved ones. When you're low on energy and short on time, you may be especially likely to give up on your own needs for the sake of someone else. Over the time, this can be dangerous also when caring for others. It is helpful to demonstrate the importance of taking care, of yourself, and to set an example and deter that from self-neglect as well. So, like the way my self-care will usually be, for me, a huge part is journaling. That's why I developed the other podcast, Limitless Journal podcast. That's where we cover journal entries of my highs and lows, and just to where you can see what it's like in another person's shoes. And we invite you to call, check out our website, ljvoiceproject.com. And that's where you can have the ability to listen to Limitless podcast and, hear some of the journal entries and struggles we go through day in and day out. Journaling is one of my coping skills. I started doing it about probably 2014, and I continue to do it. It's a way for me to get my emotions and feelings down on paper, and in the heat of the moment, I'll a lot of times write down some mean stuff, nasty stuff that I'm upset about. But that's where, if someone else were to look at it, they could think that, that's truly how I definitely feel towards them, when it's not. It's just, journaling can be a way of you getting stuff off your chest and venting, and you don't have to take it out on the people you love. And I've found that journaling is an awesome way to reflect on your thoughts, and I think it's cool, like, where I will go back on the date, and same date where I was last year or the year before, and reflect on that date and see how much progress I've made over the years. Like I said, journaling can be a reflective strategy. There's various styles of journaling. They can allow you to be non-judgmentally non-judgmentally explore your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. You can confront, your deep conflicts and experience a that self-loving escape. But, there's few chances of journaling methods that we'll cover. And you can, this is where you can cover self-awareness and when you reflect on yourself, and had the opportunity to use journaling to review and reflect on the topics in each section, of your life. And in a smaller form, many of the activities call for, just that. One of the things I use is morning I love one of the type of journals I like is that morning reflection and evening reflection. So some are hard to find. One I found a few years back, and it had morning meditation stuff in it. It had affirmations in it. Excuse me. And it would switch it up every day, so you never knew what the next day would be asking. It asked questions. At the end of the day, it would cover, gratitude, what you're grateful for. And, there's different types of journaling. There's open-minded journaling. That type of journaling is intentionally broad to allow you to enhance exploration. For example, you can choose to reflect on self-love without constraining your exploration to specific needs of yourself. There's also release journaling, also known as strength of consciousness prompt. This is an open-ended type of journaling, and in which you intentionally, purge every thought that comes to your mind in that moment. So even though I don't have any more thoughts, gets released if it comes to my mind. This style often is effective with a timer. You can set a short amount of time. If you had a heated argument with someone, like we talked about before, but need to go back to work, you may also use this method to release and help you hit the reset button. There's also review journaling, similar to prompt at the end of what am I trying to say here? Basically, a review journal can help you review particular events and theme and topics in your life. So while doing so, you're able to revisit the topic and take care of your reflection deeper. The type of journal is commonly used at the end of the day. For example, you may wish to reflect on the day on your self-care practices. So that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, is the journals I like, the morning meditation, and then in the evening hours, it's, excuse me, a lot of reflecting. And I believe reflecting is a huge part of growth and self-growth. And that's where gratitude comes in. A gratitude journal, generally consists of open-minded prompts that are broadly focused on what you're thankful for. What happened in your day, how your family coped, how you coped with something very well. You can choose to explore specific, areas of gratitude. For example, one tree, you could reflect on your things that you're grateful for to have achieved. In another, you could focus on people you're grateful to have in your life. I mean, there's all different kinds, and then there's also, I definitely like the morning and evening. It allows, more reflecting, and I firmly believe reflecting is a huge part of growing. Part of self love is, finding what your coping skills are. And not everybody has all the coping skills they need, but each person needs to find their own, and that can be different for everybody. And I have a list here of 100 ways to cope, but we won't go through all 100. So I attend a concert, maybe. And another one can be attending a sporting event. Another one can be baking. We can also have breathe deeply, calling a helpline, calling on an old friend, clean, color, cook, craft, create an affirmation list, create boundaries. That's another huge thing. I believe, with journaling, you can write down different types of boundaries you want to create without, others knowing. And decluttering, donate, do something nice for someone else, draw, eat a healthy meal, exercise. Now, exercise I find to be, I've done so much exercising in my life from wrestling in college, and to me it just doesn't seem that fun anymore. And so I've taken time off since my last car accident when I suffered a TBI, but I found myself back in the gym again, and it's not to lose weight, build more muscle. It's actually what I'm doing is it's for my mental health, and I firmly believe exercise can help with your mental health big time. Just getting in the gym, whether it's walking, lifting light weights, high reps, it allows you to get, the endorphins going in you, and you can allow yourself to feel good about yourself that you did it. And it's part of my routine. I was diagnosed with polyneuropathy, so basically I have to work out, and it allows me to have the disease progress slower. I don't know all the details on polyneuropathy, but the doctor had told me exercise was the number one thing to slow the progression. And I tell you what, it's really helped with my mental health. Yoga can be another one. Therapy, counseling, you name it. And I've probably done most of these, and a lot of this falls under self-love, because you really need to put yourself first. And if you can't love yourself, that's a huge issue. And I'm just trying to think of what other area, and the thing about self-love is when you have self-love, it turns into the ability that you can build self-confidence. And true self-confidence, inherently ties to how much you love and respect and appreciate yourself for who you are. True self-confidence, isn't about how you feel, but it's about yourself in comparison to others. It's about how comfortable you are with yourself and how you're sure you feel that you know that you're the best for yourself and your life. When you have true self-confidence, you don't lose sleep over what other people think of you. You know who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, and you love and accept yourself. With true self-confidence comes profound, free from the grip of judgment and criticism, and I'm a huge victim of fear of judgment and fear of disappointment, fear of failure, and it's stuff I work on every day, and it's still a work in progress. And I believe humans are born wired to have self-confidence. I think we all have it in us. It's just something we just all have to work on. And if you've ever tapped into the power, into that power, you've been able to let that flow through you, and whether it's briefly or intermittently, without having it dampened or crushed by external harsh criticism or abuse, you find it easier to remember and renew your life. And that's where this reflection comes in, and it's so important to reflect. Because with reflect, it lets you grow as a human being. If you have the chance to watch young children who are fortunate enough to be raised by conscious parents in a supportive, affirming community, you'll notice their true self-confidence shines through. They'll express their curiosity and feelings openly. They'll run, climb, and jump and laugh and play without hesitation. Wouldn't we all like to be a kid again? Most children aren't concerned about being good enough or comparison to others until they begin to encounter messages from adults, older children, or the media teaches them they are not good enough unless they perform at a certain level or look a certain way, or that's where we've done it to ourselves, and what the perfect woman should look like, and that's not even true. It's what's inside a person is what we should be loving and looking for in life. And I just, as with all aspects of self-discovery and renewal process, it's important to consider how the past experiences, this goes into reflection again, how past experiences, where you are now, and where you find your activities and headed in your journey. Your past can recapture the essence of what it felt like and truly like to be truly self-confident. When you regain the sense of true self-confidence, you then will find out that all aspects of your life is easier. It's easier to express your opinions and preferences because you won't be overly concerned with rejection and reactions of others. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, is judgment and all that. It plays a huge role in us, Much of the time, people don't understand, what self-confidence is and what it means. True self-confidence can be confused with feeling certain you have excellent skills and sometimes is misinterpreted as arrogance. Self-confidence emerges, naturally when we practice self-love. So that's why I said earlier, self-love, self-confidence, self-esteem, self-awareness, all that comes into play. And they're kind of all grouped together into self-care and self-discovery. But what exactly is self-confidence? It's a lot about, there's examples I could go into about self-doubt and insecurity that people have. Many people rediscover their self-confidence and change directions in their life. And I'm a firm believer in self-confidence. You can work on. You can build that back up. A lot of people who go through a divorce or mental abuse, they have to rebuild that self-confidence again because a lot of times they're tore down to nothing. And the only way to come back from that is, working on your self-confidence, working on your coping skills, working on your self-love, and, journal those thoughts and then reflect on those thoughts. And it's like a huge part of my life. So with, I think we kind of covered a lot today, but self-confidence, coincides with self-esteem. Build that self-esteem up, and self-confidence is basically knowing your ability but being humble about it. And I firmly believe being humble, and where arrogance comes into play is when it's not just about self-confidence, it's about you. It's about yourself and how you portray yourself and your emotions or your track on life, and you're only looking at yourself and trying to better yourself, and you're not looking out for your neighbor or your family or friends. A lot of this you got to set boundaries in, to protect yourself, and so that you're not overstepping and putting too much time into somebody else or some other family member. Instead, you need to put the time into yourself as well. And, lately, what I've been working on with my counselor and my family is detaching with love. And, we're struggling right now with that portion of it because, my mom sees me getting better for my TBI, and right now she's trying to find her role and where she fits in, because I'm wanting to do stuff on my own to where I know it. Not sure if I can do it, but I want to be able to try and do it. And sometimes she takes it personal and, does a 180. And then when I do ask for help, then I get a, blow up or a snap at me. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. A lot of times it's tone. I hate that the fact that I did suffer the TBI, that somebody else hit me on, and it was a snowy day and it happened. Am I mad at that it happened? Yeah. It took a lot from me. It's been a struggle. It's led me down the road of heroin addiction, and I, I'm excited though about the future. I just applied to get my kids back because I refuse to let them be around the addiction part. They'd never seen it before, and they don't need to see it. And I just felt like they didn't deserve to be traumatized to be around it. I've been ridiculed, judged for not going back and getting them, but I pray they understand one day why I didn't go get them. It's not that I was choosing drugs over them. It was just coming off of heroin was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And it still isn't fair to the kids. I take full blame for it. But they deserve to hear the truth from their dad. And, maybe it's not from me that they need to hear from. It's other people that can vouch for how much work I've put into getting those kids back, and they mean the world to me. And if they're listening, this is a shout out to you guys. I love you and miss you, and hopefully see you soon. Like I said, we covered a lot, so don't forget to start your journaling, and go ahead and check out our website, ljvoiceproject.com. And then we're also on Twitter and LinkedIn under @LJVoiceProject. And you can go ahead and email us, contact us, and don't be afraid to sign up for the newsletter. We're still, working on all that. So, just keep listening to the show. And then also don't be afraid to check out Limitless Podcast, where we do journal entries and read out of the journal and do some self-reflection and kind of just helping you guys along. So thank you for listening, and that's another show of War of the Mind. And I want to thank you all for listening to the show today. I appreciate all the views, and just go ahead and don't forget to share with your friends and family, and don't forget to like us on Facebook, The Voice Project, and we're also on Twitter @LJ Voice Project, and we also check out our email. Our website is ljvoiceproject.com. Email is contactus@ljvoiceproject.com. Or we also have Lauren, Loren Johnson @ljvoiceproject.com. We're also on Instagram. All of those. Just write us on our webpage, and we can easily get back to you. Just leave us a phone number. Our WhatsApp phone numbers on there as well. So feel free to contact us. We're always available and free to answer. So I really hope to hear from you soon.